It's time for Sick and Twisted Bible Stories for Children, Chapter 2 in my series, A Beautiful Garden. Look at the earth here, how pretty everything is. Look at the grass and the trees, the flowers and the animals. Can you pick out the elephants and the lions? How did this beautiful garden come to be? Well, let's see how God got the earth ready for us. First, God made green grass to cover the land, and he made all kinds of small plants, bushes, and trees. These growing things help to make the earth pretty, but they do more than that. Many of them also give us food that tastes very good. It's interesting that in this chapter, they say the first thing God did is to cover the earth with green grass and vegetation, when that is day 3, where the land appears and then God fertilizes the land. God later made fish to swim in the water and birds to fly in the sky. He made dogs and cats and horses, big animals and small animals. What animals live near your house? Shouldn't we be glad that God made all of these things for us? Finally, God made one part of the earth very special place. He called this place the Garden of Eden. It was just perfect. Everything about it was beautiful, and God wanted the whole earth to become just like this pretty garden he had made. But look at the picture of this garden. Do you know what God saw was missing? Let's see.
Amira is a bright and loving 4-year-old girl living in the heart of Gaza. She enjoys expressing her creativity through drawing, dressing up like a princess, and of course, like any little girl, she loves candies and cakes, and her favorite person in the entire world was her father. But unfortunately, he was lost at the beginning of this conflict. Her family is unique because they have 2 sets of twins, but they face incredible hardships since losing their father. You can help with a monetary gift or posting social media about her story. Together, we can bring hope and stability for Amira's life.
This chapter mentions Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 because they are trying to harmonize the differences between these creation stories. Let's examine the differences between the first creation story and the second. So let's recap the first one. Day 1, God separates the day from the night. Day 2, God separates the waters. Day 3, the land comes up from the waters and God fertilizes it, and then there's vegetation. Day 4, God creates the moon, the sun, the stars. Day 5, he lets the ocean teem with creatures. Day 6, he creates land animals and then eventually humans. And he rests on the 7th day. Genesis 2 is more focused on the creation of man and their relationship with God and the Garden of Eden story, where Genesis 1 is a detailed, structured account of the days. But yes, the sequences are different between the 2 stories. In Genesis 2, we're given this impression that the world is still in this chaotic state, but the Garden of Eden is the perfect spot where God places Adam. But in Genesis 1, God creates order out of everything and then finally brings humans into existence. These beautiful rivers are flowing through Eden. God creates the trees, the animals, and then he brings them all to Adam to name. And after this naming process, God realizes, something is missing from this equation. Now think of how strange it is that in the second creation story, God first creates man, and then he brings the creatures to him to name in order for him to find a companion. So in God's mind, he thinks that an animal will be a companion for a human. When God realizes that they're not compatible, he then splits Adam in 2 and creates Eve. Another difference in the stories is Genesis 1, God is speaking things into existence, where Genesis 2, it seems as though God is working with his hands when he's forming Adam and Eve. Genesis 1, again, all humans are created at the same time in the divine images of the gods, plural, whereas in Genesis 2, there is one specific God with his hands working with the clay who creates them. In the first creation story, the earth becomes fertile and vegetation sprouts. It doesn't need a man to till or work the ground. Whereas in the second creation story, it's only Eden that is fertile. And when they are kicked out of that garden, the rest of the world is chaos and they have to labor in order to live. Harmonizing these 2 stories is completely your prerogative, but both stories offer distinct perspectives on God and insights on the relationship of God, gods, with humans. Did you learn anything new today? This has been Sick and Twisted Bible Stories for Children. Stay tuned for part 3 in my series. Bye-bye.